Hello and welcome to my FA Cup predictions for the fifth round of the FA Cup. Some very intriguing ties indeed, and I'm really looking forward to this weekend's FA Cup action. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I hope you enjoy the video. The first game we're going to be looking at is QPR, who will be taking on Watford. This game is on Friday evening, the day of I record this. And Watford will be going into this hoping really that they can really make something of this FA Cup. Four of the big sides are out. Arsenal are out, Tottenham are out, Liverpool are out, and also Manchester United and Chelsea have drawn each other. So that's a great chance for someone like Watford to really give themselves a chance of getting to maybe the semi-finals, the final, certainly getting to Wembley, being a Premier League side, and they'll be taking on Watford. In the last 5 games, Watford have won 2, drawn 2, and lost 1, losing to Tottenham, so their form isn't too bad. QPR's form is not the best. They have won once in the last 5 games, and that's their only win, obviously, in the last 5 games, beating Portsmouth to get into the 5th round of the FA Cup. They also drew 1-1 with Portsmouth and then 3 defeats in a row in the Championship. Wigan, Birmingham, and recently lost to Bristol City. So that is not a good record for QPR so far. I'm going to go for a win for Watford. I think that they'll have enough to beat them on the day. I'm going to go 3-1 to Watford. Watford getting through to the next round of the FA Cup. And that would be a very good achievement for Javi Gracia's side. They've done really well this season. And that would be another bow to an already stellar season. 3 games taking place on Saturday. The first of which is Brighton taking on Derby County. Derby have had some really big scalps this season. They took Chelsea all the way in the Carabao Cup rather. They beat Manchester United in the Carabao Cup. They beat Southampton in the FA Cup as well. For Frank Lampard's Derby County are doing very well when it comes to cup upsets, and they beat Accrington 1-0 last round. So Derby aren't doing too bad at all in their recent form. 3 wins and 2 draws. Wins against Reading, Accrington Stanley and Hull. Draws against Preston and Ipswich recently this week. Brighton have only won once in their last 5 games, and that was a win coming in extra time, beating West Brom to set up this game. The other results: 2 draws, 2 0-0 draws, one with West Brom in the Cup and one with Watford, and then 2 defeats to Fulham and to Burnley. 2 sides that they'd be expecting to beat in if they want to stay up, and maybe they will get dragged into this relegation zone. Like Watford, another great chance for Brighton to get deep into this competition as well, with 3 sides of the top 6 already out and 1 guaranteed to go out this round. I'm going to go for a shock here. I'm going to go for Derby to win. Derby have a great history this season of, obviously, as I said, giving the Premier League teams a game. And yeah, I'm not sure it will be over the first leg. It might go to a replay. But I think Derby will beat Brighton. I'm going to go for a 0-0 here. And I'm going to go for Derby to get the victory in the replay. Wait, are they doing a replay? No, they don't do replays in the... they do replays in this round. It's next round they don't have replays. So yeah, I'm going to go for Derby to win the replay. The 3 o'clock game is AFC Wimbledon taking on Millwall. 2 London sides come up against each other. 2 sides that knocked out Premier League opposition. The last 5 games for Wimbledon haven't made too great reading. 3 defeats and 2 wins. 1 against West Ham, knocking them out 4-2 that finished, and then also beating Warsaw 1-0 in midweek. 3 defeats to Burton, Sunderland and Fleetwood. The last 5 games for Millwall, it's been quite average if we're being honest. A 1-1 draw with Middlesbrough, that's not a bad point at all. And then a 3-2 win over Everton in the Cup. 0-0 draw with Rotherham, and then a 1-0 defeat at Swansea before a 0-0 draw with Sheffield Wednesday. So overall, it's not great, it's not too bad. I'm not sure where this one will finish, but I think Millwall will knock out AFC Wimbledon. I think Wimbledon are just not good enough to do it twice. They knocked out West Ham, and that was an amazing performance, but I don't think they'll be able to knock out Millwall as well. I'm going to go for Millwall to win on the day. I'm going to go Millwall 2, AFC Wimbledon 1. So a tight victory for Millwall, but getting the victory in the end. The late game on Saturday night is Newport County taking on Manchester City. Now, the last 5 games for Newport have looked like this: a 0-0 draw with Port Vale before a 3-0 defeat to Grimsby. Then they had Middlesbrough in the FA Cup, a game they won 2-0, before a 1-0 win over Mansfield, before then their last game was a 1-0 defeat to MK Dons. At Man City looked like this: a 5-0 win over Burnley to get to this stage of the competition. Then that shock 2-1 defeat to Newcastle before wins over Arsenal, Everton and Chelsea. 6-0 that finished last time out. Manchester City are definitely going to win this game, I think. They're just too good for Newport to lose to a League 2 side. I know they lost to Wigan last season. They were down to 10 men, but they're just going to be too good. They've been scoring a lot of goals as well. I don't think they're going to hit the likes of 5 and 6 and 7 that they've been scoring recently. I think it'll be less than that. I'm expecting to see the likes of Foden given a chance. I'm expecting Gabriel Jesus, Mahrez to have a run out. So I'm going to go for a Manchester City win here. I'm going to go 3-0 to Manchester City. I think they'll have plenty to beat Newport, but I think Newport will scare them a couple of times. I wouldn't be surprised to see them cause a few problems, but I don't think they'll score. I'm going to go 3-0 to Manchester City. Now we go to Sunday's games, and there is 3 games, and I tell you why that is. Swansea are on the telly as well. They're on BBC One Wales. If you get that one, that channel, they'll be taking on Brentford. But the first game is Bristol City versus Wolverhampton Wanderers. Bristol City are in fine form. I believe they've won their last 10 games in a row in all competitions. But let's have a look at their last 5. Nottingham Forest 1-0, a 2-1 victory over Bolton, a 2-0 against Swansea, a 1-0 against Blackburn, and then a 2-1 against QPR. So they are in fine form, and they'll be taking on a Wolves side that struggled past Shrewsbury Town in the last round. So they drew 2-2 in the first game, and then they beat West Ham 3-0. They went to Everton and won 3-1. And then they took on Shrewsbury again. They struggled past them once again. That finished 3-2 in the end before a 1-1 draw against Newcastle on Monday evening. This one could go either way as well. This one has a lot to offer. Both sides going rather well in their last sort of run of fixtures. Wolves are like Brighton, like Watford. They have a really great chance this time, particularly that they are, the best side outside of the top 6 currently on form this season. They are in the 7th spot, so that therefore this season they have been the best side outside of the top 6. That would give them a lot of momentum. Of course, this just relies on the draw. They could draw, Manchester City away, or the winners of Chelsea or Manchester United away, and that could be over. But if the draw's kind to them, they could be looking at a Wembley game potentially. I think Bristol City will really give a good account of themselves here. I think that they will really give Wolves a game. I'm going to go for my first draw and not really give a result in the replay. I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw. I think this one will go to a replay. I think Wolves in a replay should beat Bristol City, but I really do expect Bristol City to give Wolves a game. But I'm going to go 1-1 in that one. That kicks off at 1 o'clock, and then we have 2 games kicking off at 4. The first is on BBC One, and that will be Doncaster Rovers taking on Crystal Palace. Rovers under Grant McCann aren't doing too badly at all. A 2-2 draw with Burton, and then a 2-1 victory over Oldham in the FA Cup. And in the last 3 games, a 1-1 draw with Portsmouth, who were leading League One up until recently, a 3-1 win over Peterborough, and then a 3-0 win over Southend. Palace's last 5 games, once again, I'm going to put it out there that they have a great chance of doing something in this cup, all depending on the draw, of course. So they lost 4-3 to Liverpool, followed that up with a 2-0 win over Tottenham in the FA Cup, a 1-0 draw with Southampton, a 2-0 win over relegation threatened Fulham, and then a 1-0 draw with West Ham. I'm really hoping Doncaster can pull off a shock here. I really would like to see that, but I just can't see them doing it. Unfortunately, I don't think they're good enough to beat Crystal Palace. Crystal Palace, who have beaten. They've beaten Tottenham, they've beaten Manchester City, they've given games to Liverpool. They're a good side and they're in a bit of a false position. They should be a lot higher up in the league. I'm going to go for a Crystal Palace win. I'm going to go 2-0 to Crystal Palace. I think they'll just have far too much for Doncaster. The last game, which is on Sunday, Swansea City versus Brentford. Brentford's last 5 games will start off with the away side, a 3-3 draw with Barnet. That was a great FA Cup game. And a 5-2 win over Blackburn, that was after being 2-0 down. A 3-1 victory in the replay against Barnet. A 2-1 defeat to Nottingham Forest, and a 1-0 win against Aston Villa. Last 5 games for Swansea, a 4-1 victory in the Cup against Gillingham, a 3-3 draw with Birmingham, a 2-0 defeat to Bristol City, who are going extremely well, 1-0 win over Millwall, and then a 2-1 defeat to Leeds. So this one could go either way. I'm going to go with the Swans. I'm going to go with the Swans because they're at home. And this one could literally go anyway, but I'm going to go with Swansea. I think that they've got, plenty to beat Brentford. Like I said, I wouldn't be surprised to see a draw, but I'm going to go for a 2-0 win to Swansea, but that one could go either way. The final game is probably the best game of the round, and that is Chelsea taking on Manchester United. And the last 5 games doesn't look very good on Maurizio Sarri's Chelsea. So Chelsea beat Sheffield Wednesday last time out 3-0 in the FA Cup, and then they lost 4-0 to Bournemouth, and then followed that up with a 5-0 victory over Huddersfield. And then you think, well, it can't get much worse than that Bournemouth result, but it did indeed when they travelled to the champions Manchester City, losing 6-0. They did follow that up with a win, beating Malmo 2-1. Last 5 games for Manchester United have been superb, but finally their winning run has come to an end, and their unbeaten run has come to an end at the hands of PSG. So a 3-1 win over Arsenal was in the FA Cup. That was the start of the 4th round. And then a 2-2 draw with Burnley, a 1-0 win over Leicester, and a 3-0 comfortable win over Fulham. They then took on PSG and lost 2-0. Very tough game there. The last time these two met, these finished 2 apiece. That was a very entertaining game. That was the day I got back from Portugal for my holiday. Very good game that was. Right at the end, there was I think there was a fitness coach, and Jose Mourinho got into some sort of altercation, but unfortunately Jose won't be there to provoke people this time, or be provoked. In that case, he was certainly provoked. I'm going to go for Manchester United. I'm not sure if they'll win this on the day, or it will go to a replay, but I do believe Manchester United will beat Chelsea. I think they're better than Chelsea. I think that they will be full of confidence and that they will get the victory. I'm going to go 1-0 to Manchester United. Manchester United entering the 6th round. The thing is, I said right at the start, before I think Mourinho was sacked, or maybe it was just after Mourinho was sacked, I fancied Manchester United to do well in the FA Cup. And so people were like, Manchester United, what are you talking about? But, they're doing well. They're doing well. Watch them go out now. But that is my predictions. Thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed that. If you did, feel free to leave a like and subscribe if you are new. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Have a great rest of the weekend. My name is Mike, and I will see you soon.